An invisible enemy lurks within the bodies of millions of Americans, a toxic legacy that continues to cast a long shadow over their lives. Lead, a potent neurotoxin, has silently infiltrated our environment for decades, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. It is estimated that a staggering 150 million Americans, primarily those born before 1996, carry the burden of lead exposure, with many unaware of the insidious threat to their mental well-being. This silent epidemic has left an indelible mark on the mental health landscape, contributing to a wide range of psychiatric disorders that continue to plague individuals and families across the nation. The pervasive nature of lead contamination, particularly during the era of leaded gasoline, has resulted in widespread exposure, impacting generations of Americans. The detrimental effects of lead on cognitive development, particularly in children, have been well documented, but the profound impact on mental health is only now coming into sharp focus. Recent studies have revealed a chilling correlation between early lead exposure and an increased risk of developing a range of psychiatric disorders, including depression, anxiety, and attention deficit/hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. These findings paint a stark picture of the hidden toll of lead poisoning, a public health crisis that demands our urgent attention. The sheer scale of this issue, affecting millions of lives, underscores the need for comprehensive measures to mitigate lead exposure and address the long-term consequences for mental health. It is imperative that we raise awareness about this silent epidemic, empower individuals with knowledge, and advocate for policies that protect our communities from the dangers of lead contamination. The time to act is now. The mental well-being of millions hangs in the balance. The story of lead's insidious rise as a public health menace begins with a seemingly innocuous innovation-leaded gasoline. This innovation was initially hailed as a breakthrough, promising to revolutionize the automotive industry and make driving more efficient and enjoyable. Introduced in the 1920s as a means to improve engine performance, leaded gasoline quickly became the fuel of choice, unknowingly unleashing a toxic tide that would permeate the environment and insidiously seep into the bodies of millions. The convenience and performance boost it offered overshadowed the hidden dangers lurking within. For decades, the roar of engines spewed lead particles into the air we breathed, contaminating our soil, our water, and our homes. These particles settled everywhere, creating a pervasive and invisible threat that was difficult to escape. The use of leaded gasoline reached its zenith in the 1960s and 70s, a time of rapid industrial growth and burgeoning car culture. The highways were filled with cars, each contributing to the growing cloud of lead pollution that enveloped cities and towns. Unbeknownst to the public, this period marked a dangerous escalation in lead exposure, with children particularly vulnerable to its harmful effects. The innocence of childhood was marred by the unseen dangers that lurked in the very air they breathed and the soil they played on. As cars traversed the nation's highways, a toxic cloud of lead followed, settling on playgrounds, schoolyards, and backyards, where unsuspecting children played, oblivious to the invisible threat. The very places meant for joy and growth became contaminated zones. The dangers of lead were not fully understood at the time, and it took decades of scientific research and mounting evidence of its devastating health consequences to prompt action. Researchers worked tirelessly to uncover the full extent of the damage, often facing resistance from powerful industries. Finally, in 1975, the Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, took a landmark step by phasing out leaded gasoline, a decision that would have a profound impact on public health. This move marked the beginning of a long journey towards cleaner air and a safer environment. However, the legacy of leaded gasoline continues to haunt us, as lead persists in our environment, a toxic reminder of a perilous era. The remnants of this hazardous substance still linger in many areas, posing ongoing risks to health and safety. The widespread use of lead-based paint in homes, another significant source of exposure, further compounded the problem. Homes built before the ban on lead paint still pose a significant risk, especially as the paint ages and deteriorates. As paint deteriorated, it released lead dust into the air, creating a hazardous environment, particularly for young children who are prone to putting objects in their mouths. This seemingly innocuous behavior could lead to severe health issues, including cognitive impairments and developmental delays. The cumulative impact of these exposures has left an enduring mark on the health of millions, a sobering reminder of the importance of environmental vigilance and the need to protect our communities from toxic threats. Parents and communities continue to grapple with the consequences, underscoring the need for ongoing education and preventive measures. For years, the devastating impact of lead on human health, particularly on child development, has been a subject of intense scientific scrutiny. The toxic effects of lead have been well documented, with numerous studies highlighting its harmful consequences. While the detrimental effects of lead poisoning on cognitive function and IQ have long been established, the scope of its impact extends far beyond just intellectual capabilities. Recent research has unveiled a more insidious and far-reaching consequence: the profound impact of lead exposure on mental health. This revelation has added a new dimension to our understanding of lead toxicity. Groundbreaking studies have revealed a chilling correlation between early lead exposure and an increased risk of developing a range of psychiatric disorders, including depression, anxiety, and attention deficit/hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. These findings suggest that the effects of lead are not just immediate, but can persist and evolve over a lifetime. These studies, conducted by leading researchers in the field, have provided compelling evidence linking lead exposure to a higher incidence of mental health issues. The data is robust and points to a clear and present danger. By analyzing data from large population studies and meticulously controlling for other potential contributing factors, scientists have been able to isolate the specific effects of lead on mental well-being. This rigorous approach ensures that the findings are both reliable and significant. The findings have been consistent and alarming, painting a stark picture of the hidden toll of this pervasive environmental toxin. The widespread nature of lead contamination means that its impact is felt across various communities and demographics. One landmark study, published in the prestigious journal JAMA Psychiatry, examined the association between early childhood lead exposure and the risk of mood and anxiety disorders in adulthood. This study has been pivotal in highlighting the long-term mental health consequences of lead exposure. The researchers followed a cohort of over 4,000 individuals for over 3 decades, meticulously tracking their lead levels and mental health outcomes. This extensive follow-up period provided a comprehensive view of the long-term effects of lead. The results were striking. Those with higher lead levels in early childhood were significantly more likely to develop depression and anxiety disorders later in life, even after accounting for other factors such as socioeconomic status and family history of mental illness. This underscores the pervasive and lasting impact of lead exposure. These findings have profound implications for public health, as they underscore the urgent need to address the legacy of lead contamination and mitigate ongoing exposure. The evidence calls for immediate action to protect future generations. The sheer scale of the problem, with millions of Americans potentially at risk, demands a comprehensive and coordinated response from policymakers, healthcare providers, and communities alike. Collaboration and concerted efforts are essential to tackle this public health crisis. By understanding the link between lead exposure and mental health, we can begin to develop effective strategies for prevention, early intervention, and treatment, ultimately striving to create a healthier and more equitable future for all. This knowledge empowers us to take meaningful steps towards safeguarding mental health and well-being. Lead's insidious impact on human health stems from its ability to disrupt the delicate balance of the nervous system, particularly during crucial periods of brain development. This disruption can have far-reaching consequences that extend well beyond childhood. This potent neurotoxin acts as a stealthy saboteur, interfering with the intricate signaling pathways that govern cognitive function, emotional regulation, and behavior. By mimicking and displacing essential minerals, lead can alter the normal functioning of neurons, leading to widespread neurological dysfunction. The consequences of this neurological assault can be profound and long-lasting, manifesting as a range of cognitive, emotional, and behavioral problems. These issues can affect a child's ability to learn, interact with peers, and manage their emotions effectively. One of lead's primary targets is the prefrontal cortex, a region of the brain responsible for executive functions such as planning, decision-making, and impulse control. Damage to this area can severely impair a child's ability to make sound judgments and control their impulses. Exposure to lead during childhood, a time of rapid brain development, can disrupt the formation and function of this critical brain region, leading to difficulties with attention, working memory, and self-regulation. These challenges can hinder academic performance and social interactions. These challenges can persist into adulthood, increasing the risk of academic struggles, employment difficulties, and social problems. Adults who were exposed to lead as children may find it harder to maintain stable jobs and relationships. Lead also disrupts the delicate balance of neurotransmitters, chemical messengers that facilitate communication between brain cells. This disruption can lead to a cascade of neurochemical imbalances. Dopamine, a neurotransmitter involved in reward, motivation, and movement, is particularly vulnerable to lead's toxic effects. Alterations in dopamine levels can affect a person's ability to feel pleasure and stay motivated. Disruptions in dopamine signaling can contribute to a range of mental health issues, including depression, anxiety, and ADHD. These conditions can significantly impact daily functioning and quality of life. The long-term consequences of these neurochemical imbalances can be devastating, impacting an individual's ability to experience pleasure, regulate emotions, and engage in goal-directed behavior. This can lead to a cycle of emotional and behavioral difficulties. The insidious nature of lead poisoning lies in its ability to silently chip away at the foundation of mental well-being, often manifesting as subtle changes in behavior or mood that may go unnoticed or be attributed to other factors. These changes can be easily overlooked until they become more severe. However, over time, these subtle changes can accumulate, leading to more pronounced difficulties and, in some cases, full-blown psychiatric disorders. Early detection and intervention are crucial to prevent long-term damage. Understanding the mechanisms by which lead disrupts brain function is crucial for developing effective strategies for prevention, early intervention, and treatment, ultimately striving to mitigate the devastating impact of this pervasive environmental toxin. By raising awareness and promoting research, we can work towards a future where lead poisoning